this learning, teaching, interaction, I really liked reading these chapters because I feel like I could really start to like apply the things that I'm learning and be able to use it into my lessons before I actually give my first lesson. So that's really nice. Um, so I just kind of pinpointed a few things that I wanted to talk about in each chapter, I guess. So the first one is when you are providing education, you you want the relationship to be there before you just come out with the technique or the teaching. So the relationship should come before the technique, which was one of the things that the chapter pointed out. And I think that there can't be learning, a good quality learning in an environment where there's no trust. Because if there's no trust, then um, you aren't willing to learn from this teacher. So, and this is something that I've used in my life, and I feel like we learn a lot about it in the gospel. Is that, you know, in church we want to maybe not necessarily bring them to the gospel right away, but we need to offer a handout and be their friend first, and make that relationship with them first, and then they're more willing to listen to coming to the gospel. Um, and I think another thing I thought of when I was reading this is that, um, you know, when we first get to know our participants for our classes and teaching, I think it's important not only that we get to know them, but that they're able to get to know us as well, so that they have a basis for us and who we are, so that they're more willing to participate and things like that. So either providing them with the background information you want to give, or having them ask you questions and that sort of thing. And I've here at BYU Idaho, I have felt that way in almost all of my classes, that the teachers really care about making that connection with the students. So, and I think that's great. And especially in these family classes, I think, because that's so important to them, so they bring it on to us, which is great. The next thing I wanted to bring up was that the different ways that you can teach and like deliver your information. It amazes, like there's so many things that I didn't even think of that I could do in my lessons. And so I'm just going to list a few of the things. The first one is leading group discussions. This could be hard with just maybe one person that you're teaching, but I think it's important to have that discussion. And since there's two teachers and one participant per se, I think there can be a little more discussion, you know, and saying everyone's opinion and that kind of thing. But so the important skills of a group discussion are structuring, linking, summarizing, and answering questions. And so that's just kind of a guideline for the discussion itself. Another one is the fishbowl. And so I thought that one was kind of interesting. We have like you circle up an inside circle and an outside circle and listen to each other's like sides and point of view and things like that. So that was a little interesting. Obviously, it's hard to do it in this little setting, but great for a big classroom, which is awesome. Another thing was the buzz groups. I really like this. I know my one of my teachers in family relations, we use that all the time. We would have our groups, like our specific groups, the whole semester. We loved getting to know those people personally, like not switching all the time, you know, getting close with those people so that we're more willing to open up and stuff. Another thing that you can do is personal narrative. And so this is like telling stories, maybe helps grab their attention or helps to view, I guess, applying the principle that you're trying to make in a real situation and showing that principle and the application for it, which is great. The next thing is skill training. This can be great. it can depend on what you're teaching, and maybe so maybe you're teaching a skill to be more kind, or something basic, maybe to work with your husband or wife or spouse, um, to work something with together. So, but in class, you can describe the skill, you model the skills, the teacher's showing how to do it, and then you have everyone practice the skill, and then have everyone do it together so they can have feedback and reinforcement, and then after that to go home and to use that in a real setting. So I think that's really important and can be really beneficial in someone's life. And the last thing was role playing. I kind of feel that's kind of going back to skill training, but I know we used this a lot in my marriage class when we talked about communication and role playing, with trying to communicate better and active listening and that kind of thing. So I'm just, yeah, so I think that's great. The last thing I just wanted to touch on was the last chapter that we read. It was about diversity in our audience. So, and I think I never really thought about this, and I know that sometimes the diversity, even in culture, but also just in different lifestyles, can be a little scary to approach, because you've never gone through that, so you don't know exactly how to approach it or how to go through something like that to help them understand and to get past that point. One of the things I just wanted to focus on from that was it's important to have skilled dialogue when coming with a diverse audience. And the three things that they brought up were the 3 R's, and it was like respect, reciprocity, and responsiveness. Respect is huge. I think that's the first step in any relationship. Reciprocity is like being able to learn as well as teach. So I think that's super important, especially in our participants that we're teaching here. Maybe they have taken a class before and you haven't, and they bring something up great that you learn from, and that's really the best way. And I know that at church, even at school, I know teachers are like, I'm learning from you as well as you're learning from me. So, and the last one is responsiveness, and that is kind of responding to them with respect, and just helping them work through that, I think, and I'm trying to work through that, yeah. And this is just going to help us understand who's different than us, And I know that all of my family teachers, they were always showing respect for others and trying to respond in a nice way and to not completely know you're wrong or that kind of thing. So they took their point of view and just kind of tried to work through it. But anyway, so yeah, that was pretty much all I have for that. So I know that was great chapters. So yep, that's it. Hope you learned something new.